Hey everybody, grace and peace to you. It is day something of the viral shutdown. And so I've been keeping myself busy. I'm walking the dog while they still allow that. Been cleaning, helping Ann clean the house a little bit. I even dug around in the garden a little bit. What else? Doing laps around the house. I've got a little time on my hands. So I've kind of gone back to my story. I'm going back to my story. I'm spending time listening to the very beginning, the Genesis story. And all of us, I think, have a story, and it's a worldview. It's what you call a meta narrative, a big story. And Muslim folks have a bigger story. Hindu folks have a bigger story. I even believe atheists even have a bigger story. Who am I? Why am I here? How did I get here? What is my purpose? And for the Judeo-Christian, folks like myself, I go back to that Genesis story. What I really appreciate about that story, and what really struck me today, was it's not so much about the how, because today you're going to hear a lot about picking it apart, about the how. And I understand the Big Bang had to start somewhere. But this beautiful story is more about the who. It's more about the who. It's about a personal God who spoke things into existence. God said, God said, God said, let there be light. God said, it's good. God said, it is very good. Frankly, I need to hear that. I need to hear that more often today. With all of the stuff that is going around, realizing that I am part of a bigger story, and it is good. I am part of a bigger story, and we'll move into the future where it gets kind of messed up. You might know that story, but I have a tendency, dare I say, to overreach. And like I said, we're going to get into that part of the story, that Adam and Eve thing. I have a tendency to overreach and to think that I can control things, that I know what's right, I know what I can do, and all of that. And some of the stuff today is I'm not so sure, and I don't like it. Right? It can get me frustrated. It can get me all whacked out when I am not in control. And yet, that's the thing. There is, in spite of the news, in spite of all of these things, it is good that somehow we have a very intimate and personal God that created Dan, created me, and he still speaks, created me for good, created me for a purpose. He has a plan for me that weaves in and out of that meta narrative, of that bigger story. And so as I read and as I listen to this bigger story continually, I see echoes of where I am in that story, the good and the bad. And in a couple chapters, it talks about dust to dust and ashes to ashes kind of thing. And that was Ash Wednesday, right? We're coming up on the Easter. We're in the midst of Lent. And so I get reminded too that, that this intimate God breathed into me the breath of life from the dust. He didn't have to. It was a love thing. That was the other thing about this story. It's a love thing. He created us because he loved us. And so I was created out of that dust. But then the mortality of recognizing that I'm going back. I'm going back to dust. And at end of life occasions, at funerals and things, that's what I get to say is ashes to ashes and dust to dust. That's important. It's not something that I think that I should be afraid of, but it is part of a bigger plan. And as I go through this story, and especially as we go through Easter, again, that's really important because as I take this journey of creation forward, I find out in my worldview who that God is in Jesus, and that there is this plan that takes me beyond the ashes and dust to dust. But there is a purpose, much bigger purpose than the here and now. So, folks, if you have time, maybe you could take it back to the beginning of the story if you haven't listened in a while. You can listen to it, YouVersion. I love listening, right? Just love it. So you take care of out there. Remember that God is good all the time, even when we don't understand it or we want to be in control, okay? I love you, I miss you, and I'll get with you again on my journey through this big story. I love you. I'll see you later. Bye.